Chapter 18. Tia woke more rested the next morning than she had in a long time. Some of it was probably not sleeping in a hospital room, but she knew some of it was finally feeling as if she were home and safe. Even in her old life, she'd had no friends like Brody, Kara, and Jordan, people willing to risk their lives to keep her safe. It was nice and humbling. And today Brody was going to take her to lunch before she started her first shift at Fire Dreams. She couldn't remember the last time she had worked in a restaurant, but she was looking forward to it today. Actually, she was just looking forward to not being in a hospital, being shot at, poisoned, or run over. It had been a long week, and one she would probably never forget. Pushing back the covers, she rolled out of bed and hobbled over to the bag of clothes she had bought the night before. She hadn't even managed to unpack with all the craziness of Rico, and she definitely wanted to take a bath before she fully dressed. That was another thing she hadn't done properly in the last week. She'd have preferred a shower, but supposed it was out of the question. Surely she wouldn't have to do only baths until the cast came off, though. She'd have to ask Brody when she saw him for lunch. After grabbing clothes to change into, Tia grabbed her crutches and made her way the few feet to the bathroom. The bath proved to be challenging since she couldn't get her cast wet, but after a few tries, she managed to get her foot positioned in just the right way so that it was out of the water while most of the rest of her was in. Though she normally didn't like baths, this one held just the right remedy to wash her fears and anxiety away. When she was dry and dressed, another adventure she would not miss when this cast came off, she crutched down the hall to the dining area. Kara had a display of food laid out: eggs, waffles, fruit, coffee, juice. "Good morning, Tia. How did you sleep?" Kara asked as she placed a large plate of pancakes down as well. "Actually, pretty well. How long have you been up cooking this breakfast?" Kara laughed. "I know, it's overkill, but I cooked a lot in my unit. Got used to feeding a dozen hungry soldiers. Guess old habits die hard. But don't worry, the guy in room 1 will eat half of this when he gets up." Tia shook her head as she imagined the stomachache she would have if she ate even half of this. "I'll just get some eggs and fruit." "You sit," Kara said, pointing to a chair, "and I'll get what you want and bring it to you. Jordan and Brody would have my hide if you tripped trying to carry food and injured yourself at my house." Tia laughed, but she could see it. Okay. Eggs, oranges, and coffee, please. With cream, if you have it." "Of course I have it." Kara loaded up a plate and set it before Tia before filling a cup and returning with it and the creamer carafe. "So what's on your agenda for today?" she asked as she grabbed her own coffee mug and sat across from Tia. "Brody is coming by in an hour or so. I think he planned an early movie and then lunch before my shift at Fire Dreams." She smiled as she speared a little egg and shoveled it in her mouth. Her day sounded so ordinary, a welcome sound after the last week. "Jordan roped you into working for him, did he?" Kara picked up her cup and took a sip. "He did, but only until I get back on my feet. Now that I remember everything, I want to get back to writing soon, but I need to do a few things first. Make some apologies, buy a new computer, move my stuff here." Kara raised a brow as she leaned back in her chair. "You plan to stay then?" Tia grinned as she peeled the orange. "I do. I think there's definitely some things worth staying here for." "Good. I'm glad to hear it. This town could use a little excitement." Tia laughed so hard she nearly spat her food out. "You don't think the last week counted as excitement?" "Nah," Kara said with a flick of her wrist. "That's not what I mean. We need some excitement people can get behind. And I think a romance author writing about our town might be just the ticket. Be good for business." "Well, I'll do what I can," Tia said with a smile. Brody smiled as he spied Tia behind the counter. She not only looked lighter without the weight of fear on her shoulders, but she looked at home, greeting guests as they entered the restaurant. "Brody!" Her mouth broke into a wide grin when she spied him. "Let me clock out and I'll be ready to go." "Take your time," he said as he watched her crutch off to the back room. "She's kind of a natural," Jordan said, coming up beside him. "I hope she decides to stick around a while." Brody smiled at the man he now considered a friend. "She is. Told me this morning when I picked her up. She wants to go to California and make amends and get her affairs in order, but then she plans to find a place to rent locally. Glad to hear it. She seems like a completely different person here. Brody shook his head. No, she seems like the sweet woman I believe she was, until greed corrupted her. I just hope she stays that way. Jordan put a hand on his shoulder. With a good man like you by her side, I can't see her taking that path again. Are you two talking about me? Tia asked with a smile as she approached them. Just telling Brody what a good job you're doing, Jordan said. Good. Then I hope you won't mind if I ask for a week off. I want to close the chapter on my life in California so I can start fresh here. I think that's a great idea, and I'm fairly certain I can convince the owner to give you a week, even though you just started. He gave her a friendly smile before excusing himself to take care of a customer. Will you come with me? She asked Brody as he held the restaurant door open. To California? I don't think I can do it alone. Brody wanted to say yes, but a trip with her? That was a big step, and it would require more time off work. However, he hadn't taken a day since Rachel died. He had enough days saved up, and he hadn't taken a vacation in years. Besides, if he really wanted Tia to make a change, then he needed to support her in any way possible. If that meant a trip to California, then he guessed he could take a little more time off. I'll be with you every step of the way. She leaned up and placed a kiss on his lips. I don't deserve you, Brody Cavanaugh, but I'm going to thank God every day for sending you into my life. Brody returned her smile and thought he might do exactly the same thing.